Everyone has a best friend they trust with their life. But what if your best friend was the reason you almost lost it? This is not a Reddit argument about who owes who an apology. This isn't a story about hurt feelings or broken boundaries, or who was wrong at Thanksgiving dinner. This is a story about the person closest to you, quietly, methodically, planning to make you disappear. And the only reason you're alive is because you noticed something you were never supposed to notice. I need to set the stage for this, because the horror of this story doesn't come from some stranger in a dark alley. The horror comes from familiarity, from the person who sat next to you in class every day, who knew your schedule, who knew when your parents wouldn't be home, who knew which roads you took when you drove at night. The original poster, we'll call her M, grew up in a small town, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where your friend group is essentially assigned to you by geography and proximity. You don't choose your friends. Your zip code chooses them for you. M and her best friend, we'll call her J, had been inseparable since middle school. Sleepovers every weekend, shared secrets, the kind of friendship that felt permanent, the kind where you finish each other's sentences and your parents treat the other kid like their own. From the outside, they were the picture of teenage normalcy. From the inside, something was rotting. M didn't see it at first. Nobody did, because the red flags weren't red. They were pale, almost invisible, the kind of things you only recognize in hindsight after you already know the ending. The first sign was control. Jay had opinions about everything M did, who she talked to, who she sat with at lunch, what she wore. It was framed as closeness, as I just care about you, as I'm looking out for you. But it wasn't care. It was surveillance. If M made a new friend, Jay would find a way to poison it. Not overtly, never a direct attack, just comments. She was talking about you the other day. I don't think she actually likes you. I heard something, but I don't want to start drama. Whisper campaigns designed to isolate M from everyone except Jay. And it worked, because when your best friend tells you something, you believe them. You don't question the source. You don't ask for proof. You trust. The second sign was jealousy, but not the normal kind. Not I wish I had your shoes jealousy, something deeper, something that M described as almost resentful. Like Jay was keeping a ledger, tracking every good thing that happened to M, every compliment she received, every boy who looked at her, every grade that came back higher than Jay's. M said she caught Jay staring at her sometimes, not in a friendly way, in a way that made the room feel colder. But M was 16, and when you are 16, you don't have the vocabulary for what's happening. You don't know the word covert. You don't understand the concept of a friend who hates you. You just feel uneasy, push the feeling down, and keep showing up. What happened next came to light in fragments. Some of it M pieced together herself. Some of it came from a third friend. Some of it came from things Jay said after everything fell apart. Careless admissions that revealed the architecture of something monstrous. Jay had been planning what she called a drive. In her telling, before she realized how much trouble she was in, it was casual, offhand, just an idea. We should go for a drive one night, out to the woods, just hang out. But the third friend, we'll call her Kay, told a different story. Kay said that Jay had been talking about M for weeks, not in a friendly way, in a cold, analytical way, talking about M's habits, her routines, when she left the house, when her parents went to bed. which roads had no streetlights. Kay said Jay had described in specific detail what would happen on this drive, how they would get M to a remote location, how they would make sure no one knew where they were going, how it would be just the three of them in the dark. Kay didn't fully understand what she was hearing at first, because the language Jay used was vague enough to seem like dark humor, like a teenage girl being edgy, being dramatic. But then Jay showed Kay something on her phone, search history, and what Kay saw there, she described as the moment she stopped sleeping at night. Kay told M, not immediately, but as cleanly as you'd want. Kay sat on it for 3 days because she didn't believe it was real. She kept telling herself that Jay was just being weird, that this was some kind of phase, some kind of dark joke taken too far. But the searches weren't a joke. The level of specificity wasn't a joke, and the timeline Jay had laid out, casually, as if she were planning a road trip, was not a joke. When Kay finally told M, she did it over text because she couldn't say the words out loud. M read the messages sitting on her bed, in her room, in her safe, normal house, in the town where nothing bad was supposed to happen. And the floor fell out. Because M's first reaction wasn't fear, it was denial. It was no. It was you are wrong. It was she's my best friend, she would never. But Kay sent screenshots, and the screenshots didn't lie. M called her mother. Her mother called the police, and within 24 hours, the friendship that had defined M's adolescence was over. Not with a fight, not with a tearful conversation, with a police report. Jay was confronted, not by M never spoke to her again, but by authorities. And Jay's defense was chilling in its casualness. She said she wasn't serious. She said she was just venting. She said M was being dramatic. She said the searches were curiosity. She said the plan was hypothetical. She said a lot of things, and none of them explained why she had researched specific locations, or why she had mapped routes, or why she had tried to recruit a third person. Jay faced consequences. The specifics depend on which version of this story you follow, and I'm not going to speculate beyond what was shared publicly. What matters is that Jay was removed from M's life, permanently. But removed doesn't mean erased. M wrote, months later, about what it felt like to go back to school, to sit in the same classes, to walk the same hallways, to exist in the same small town where everyone knew what happened, but nobody talked about it. She wrote about nightmares, about waking up at 3 a.m. convinced someone was in her room, about not being able to drive at night without checking her rearview mirror every 30 seconds. She wrote about the guilt of surviving something that hadn't technically happened yet. Because how do you process almost being killed by someone who braided your hair at sleepovers? M's story is not unique, and that is the most terrifying part. There is an entire category of violence that lives inside close friendships. Psychologists call it relational aggression. Social researchers track it in adolescent populations. And true crime archives are littered with cases where the perpetrator wasn't a stranger, wasn't a stalker, wasn't someone from the margins. It was the best friend, the person with the most access, the most trust, the most knowledge of your vulnerabilities, the person who knows which door you leave unlocked, which window doesn't latch properly, which nights you are alone. The cultural resurgence of interest in cases like this, driven partly by new documentaries, partly by stories like M's surfacing on forums, tells us something important. We are collectively reckoning with the idea that danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it sits next to you at lunch. Sometimes it sleeps over on your couch. And sometimes it calls you best friend. Em ended her post with something that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. She said, "The hardest part isn't knowing what she planned. The hardest part is knowing I would have gotten in the car." Read that again. I would have gotten in the car. Because that's what trust does. Trust doesn't protect you. Trust makes you vulnerable. And when the person you trust the most is the person planning to hurt you, you don't see it coming. You can't see it coming, because seeing it would require you to question the foundation of your entire social world. Em survived because someone else saw it, not her. She was too close, too trusting, too conditioned by years of friendship to recognize that the person she loved had become the person she needed to fear. This story doesn't have a satisfying ending. There's no revenge, no justice that feels proportional, no courtroom moment where truth triumphs. There's just a girl who lost her best friend. Not to distance, not to a fight, but to the discovery that her best friend wanted to lose her, permanently. And now, she has to rebuild a social life, a sense of safety, a willingness to trust anyone ever again. All in a small town where everyone remembers, where everyone whispers, where the girl who almost killed her still lives 3 miles away. Some stories on this channel end with payoff, with revenge, with the villain getting what they deserve. This one ends with a locked door, a nightlight, and the hope that tomorrow feels a little less terrifying than today. Have you ever looked back at the friendship and realized there were signs you missed? Red flags you explained away because you didn't want to believe them? I think more people have stories like this than anyone wants to admit. Tell me yours, because I'll be reading every single one.